Welcome to my channel. Subscribe and enjoy my new stories every day. I never saw it coming. That's the thing about betrayal, it sneaks up on you when you're busy looking elsewhere, certain of the trust you've placed in others. I'd known Jenna since we were kids, through high school, and into adulthood. She was the kind of person who could always make people feel at ease, with that infectious laugh of hers and a smile that made everything feel a little brighter. And George? He was my best friend, my brother in everything but blood. We'd gone through thick and thin together, him always there when I needed help, from fixing my old junker in college to helping me build the nursery when Jenna was pregnant. Never in my wildest dreams did I think either one of them would betray me. The day everything changed started out just like any other. Jenna had left early for work, her usual busy day at the university bookstore. I was planning to stop by the diner for breakfast before heading to the dealership. That's where I saw him, George, sitting in a booth with some guy I didn't recognize, both of them laughing about something. Nothing unusual about it, George was the type who'd strike up a conversation with anyone. I ordered my coffee, giving him a nod as he saw me walk in, and found a seat 2 booths away. As I took the first sip of my coffee, I heard my wife's name, Jenna. George's laugh was louder this time, but it carried a different tone, something intimate. My ears perked up as I heard the next few words spill out of his mouth. Kurt has no idea, he chuckled, and they both laughed. I went still, each word feeling like a hammer blow to my chest. I leaned back, pretending to browse my phone while I strained to hear. Yeah, he's clueless, George went on. It's been going on since, well, let's just say it's been a while. He laughed, and his friend joined in, exchanging words I couldn't piece together. In that moment, the world seemed to close in. I felt the blood pounding in my ears, my fists clenching around my phone until my knuckles turned white. I didn't need to hear more. The meaning was clear, sickeningly so. George, my friend, my best friend, was talking about Jenna like she was some kind of shared secret. I left the diner without finishing my coffee, the chill of the morning air feeling like ice on my skin. Jenna and George. Together. It was like a twisted nightmare I couldn't wake from. I drove back to the dealership in a daze, barely seeing the road. That day, I couldn't focus on anything, and even my employees noticed, asking if I was feeling all right. Just a headache, I mumbled, brushing them off. But the headache was in my heart, a pain so sharp and cutting that I felt hollow inside. When I got home that night, Jenna was her usual self, cheerful and affectionate. She kissed me on the cheek, asked about my day, and told me about hers, something about a rude customer and the latest bookstore gossip. She smiled as if nothing had happened, as if everything was normal. My insides twisted. How could she pretend like that? How could she act like we were still the happy couple, like our home wasn't built on a crumbling foundation? For days, I kept it to myself, pretending, just like her. I watched her closely, every glance, every smile, searching for something that would give her away. She didn't seem any different. She was attentive, loving even. But that didn't mean anything now. Every laugh, every kiss, felt hollow, like I was seeing a stranger behind my wife's eyes. It was maddening. But I knew I couldn't leave it like that. I needed proof, something solid to confirm what I'd overheard. I needed to know if I was wrong, or if my world was really about to shatter. That's when I decided to call a private investigator. I'd never hired one before, the idea of snooping felt distasteful, but there was no going back now. If George and Jenna were playing me for a fool, I needed the truth. I needed it so I could finally face them, finally confront the betrayal that was eating away at me like a cancer. The PI was a professional, quiet and unobtrusive, and he didn't ask many questions. He'd seen situations like mine too many times before. We'll keep it simple, he said, not looking at me as he jotted down notes. If there's something going on, we'll find it. You'll have your answer in a week. It was the longest week of my life. I tried to stay calm, telling myself it might just be a misunderstanding, that maybe George was just running his mouth. But I couldn't shake the image of them together, couldn't escape the thought that they were sharing something behind my back. Finally, the call came, just after dawn. The PI didn't mince words. "I've got something," he said. "Meet me at my office." I drove in a fog, barely aware of the road, my heart racing as I made my way to his office. When he laid the evidence out in front of me, it felt like the world cracked open. Photos, timestamps, locations, it was all there. There they were, in broad daylight, walking side by side, holding hands, laughing like they didn't have a care in the world. There was even a photo of them at the hotel just last weekend, smiling as they checked in. "Anything else you need?" the PI asked, his voice a dull hum in the background. I couldn't even answer. It felt surreal, like I was watching a twisted movie that I couldn't escape. I didn't go home that night. I sat in my car for hours, parked in a lot outside a convenience store, staring at the photos over and over, my mind numb with disbelief. How could they do this to me? How could Jenna, the woman I loved, betray me like this? And George, the man I trusted more than anyone. It was a sick betrayal, a twisting knife in my back. The next day, I finally returned home, drained and hollow, every nerve in my body stretched thin. Jenna was already home, setting the table for dinner. She looked up when I walked in, smiling as if nothing had changed. "Hey, Han," she said, her voice warm and familiar. But now, all I heard was deceit. I walked up to her, my expression unreadable, and she frowned, sensing something wrong. "Is everything all right?" she asked, touching my arm. I stared down at her hand, feeling the weight of all those years slip away, the love we built crumbling to dust. "Jenna," I said, my voice low. "We need to talk." Jenna looked up at me, her hand still on my arm, eyes wide and concerned. I could see the flicker of fear in her gaze, the tiny shift that told me she sensed something was different. She had perfected the art of lying, acting as if her affair was a secret only she knew, kept locked away. But now, standing in front of her, I was done pretending. "What's wrong, Thomas?" Her voice was soft, even affectionate, but I didn't buy it. "Not anymore." I took a deep breath, bracing myself. "Jenna, are you happy with us?" She blinked, caught off guard. "Of course I'm happy. Why would you even ask that?" Her smile was quick, but it looked forced, her fingers tightening slightly on my arm. "Because," I replied, my voice colder than I intended, "I've had this feeling lately, like something isn't right between us." Jenna swallowed, her eyes darting away. I don't know what you mean, Thomas. We're fine. Aren't we?" Her voice wavered, just a bit, but she recovered quickly, smiling again, that same smile she'd used for years to reassure me, to hide the truth. I stared at her, letting the silence stretch out, watching her face for any hint of guilt. I saw her shift uncomfortably, and I decided to press harder. "Are you sure there's nothing you're hiding?" "No, secrets." She laughed, but it sounded hollow. "Secrets? Thomas, what are you talking about?" Her voice rose, a defensive edge creeping in. "I'm talking about you and George." I said it plainly, watching her face as her eyes widened, her lips parting in shock. What are you talking about?" she stammered, but I could see the truth there, plain as day. Her cheeks flushed, and she took a step back, dropping her hand from my arm. "Don't lie to me, Jenna," I said, my tone sharp. "I know everything. I know about the hotel. I know about the dates, the meetings, the late nights you spent with him while I was at home, thinking you were at work." The words tumbled out, each one hitting her like a slap. "I know, Jenna. I know." She looked at me, her mouth opening and closing as she struggled to form words. Finally, she managed, "Thomas. I don't know what you've heard, but it's not what you think. Her voice was barely a whisper. Not what I think. I barked a laugh. I've seen the photos, Jenna. I hired someone to follow you. I have proof. The words hung in the air, heavy and final, like a verdict being delivered. Her face crumpled, and she sank into a chair, covering her face with her hands. Thomas, please. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I felt a hollow, cold anger settle in my chest. Didn't mean for it to happen. I repeated, my voice low. Then why did you do it, Jenna? Why did you lie to me, to our family, to everyone? She looked up, her eyes filled with tears. I don't know, she whispered. I don't know why. It just happened. Just happened, I repeated, shaking my head. That's all you have to say. I'm sorry, Thomas. I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. Her voice cracked, and she reached for me, but I stepped back, avoiding her touch. She let her hand fall, staring down at the floor, defeated. I took a deep breath, trying to keep the anger from boiling over. You know, I said slowly, I could forgive a mistake, Jenna. I could even forgive a moment of weakness. But this? This was a choice, over and over again. You chose to betray me, and you kept choosing it every time you went to him. She flinched, her shoulders hunching as if my words had struck her physically. Thomas, please, I know I was wrong. I know I betrayed you. But please don't give up on us. We can fix this. We can still be a family. After everything? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. After you've lied to me, slept with my best friend, made a mockery of our marriage? You want me to just move on? Yes, she said desperately, her voice rising. Yes, Thomas, please. For the kids. For our family. Please, let's just forget this happened. We can start over. I looked at her, the woman I had loved, the woman I had trusted with everything, and I felt a wave of bitterness wash over me. Forget? I echoed. Forget that you cheated. Forget that you lied to me for who knows how long. That's what you think I should do. She was sobbing now, covering her face again, her shoulders shaking. I love you, Thomas. I still love you. I don't want to lose you. Please, don't leave me. But her words rang hollow in my ears. Love? Could she even understand what love meant if she could do this to me? For a long moment, I just stood there, watching her, the anger twisting inside me, cold and relentless. Then I made my decision. We're done, Jenna. My voice was calm, steady. You've made your choices, and now I'm making mine. I want a divorce. Her head snapped up, her eyes wide with shock. No, she whispered. No, Thomas, please. Don't do this. Don't throw us away. I'm not throwing us away, I said quietly. You already did that. I turned and walked to the door, ignoring her sobs, her pleas. I had nothing left to say. Outside, the air was cool, the street quiet and empty, but I felt like I was standing on the edge of a storm, the wind whipping around me, carrying away the shattered pieces of my life. I had loved Jenna with everything I had. I had trusted her, shared my life with her. And now, that life was over. I walked to my car and drove, not caring where I was going, just needing to be away from her, away from the house that had once felt like a sanctuary and now felt like a prison. I drove for hours, letting the roads blur beneath me, my mind numb, the anger slowly giving way to a hollow ache that settled deep in my chest. When I finally pulled over, I found myself at the old diner on the edge of town, the place where I'd first met Jenna all those years ago. I sat in the parking lot, staring at the dimly lit windows, feeling the weight of all the memories pressing down on me. Everything I'd built, everything I'd believed in, it was gone, shattered by the one person I thought I could always trust. I closed my eyes, leaning my head against the steering wheel, feeling the weight of the betrayal crushed down on me. But beneath the pain, something else was beginning to stir. Something cold and determined. If Jenna thought she could betray me and walk away without consequences, she was wrong. The shock had faded, leaving only a cold resolve in its wake. Driving aimlessly through the night, I replayed every detail in my mind, piecing together the full extent of the betrayal. Jenna had broken something that couldn't be fixed. And George, my best friend, had been right there beside her, smiling, sharing drinks, acting as if he were still my friend. Every smile, every inside joke, every moment they had shared behind my back played over and over, hardening into a resolve that replaced the hurt with a plan. By the time the sun rose, casting a grayish light over the quiet roads, I knew what I had to do. My first stop that morning was at George's garage. I arrived early, earlier than usual, catching him by surprise as he was unlocking the door. He gave me a surprised nod, forcing a casual smile. "Hey, Thomas. What brings you by so early?" I kept my face blank, forcing my voice to remain steady. "Just thought I'd drop by. Got a lot on my mind lately." He nodded, not seeming to pick up on the undertone. "Yeah, I get that. Busy times." "More than you know," I replied. "Listen, George, I've been thinking about the cars." I watched him carefully, looking for any hint that he suspected what was coming. He shrugged. "Sure, what about them?" "We're done, George. All the cars from my lot. No more deals, no more repairs." His face went pale, and he stammered. "What? Why? Thomas, this has been good for both of us." Are you serious?" "Serious as it gets," I said, my tone as cold as steel. "Effective immediately, I'm cutting ties. I don't need you, George. Not for the cars. Not for anything." I could see him struggling to hide his shock, his anger. "Is this about Jenna?" Finally, he was acknowledging it. Hearing her name fall so easily from his mouth nearly set me off, but I kept my voice calm. "It's about a lot of things. Mostly, it's about trust, something you clearly don't understand." He opened his mouth to respond, his face flushing red with anger, but I cut him off. "We're done here. You know why. Don't pretend otherwise." I turned and left, not giving him a chance to say another word. As I walked back to my car, I felt a grim satisfaction settle in. It wasn't enough to make up for the betrayal, not yet, but it was a start. George would feel the sting, financially, at least. The rest would come in time. As I drove home, I thought about what else I could do, how I could reclaim what they had taken from me. When I stepped through the front door, Jenna was already awake, seated at the kitchen table, her eyes swollen and red from a night of crying. She looked up, hope flashing briefly in her eyes, but when she saw my expression, the hope died. "Thomas," she whispered, "please, let's talk about this. I know I've hurt you, and I'll do anything to make it right. Just give me a chance." I sat down across from her, watching her, feeling strangely calm. "You say you want a chance. A chance to what, Jenna? To pretend nothing happened? To wipe away the past?" She bit her lip, looking down at her hands, twisting them nervously. "No, not to pretend. Just a chance to make things better. I want to fix this, Thomas. I'll do whatever it takes." "Whatever it takes?" I echoed, my voice soft, calculating. She nodded eagerly. "Yes. I love you, Thomas. I never stopped. I know I was selfish, I know I was wrong, but I still love you. I want us to work." I leaned back, studying her, letting the silence stretch. I could see her growing more desperate, watching me, her eyes filling with tears. It was clear she was willing to do anything to avoid losing everything, and that's when I realized something. She wasn't here because she felt true remorse, she was here because she was scared of the consequences, scared of losing the life we'd built. You want to fix this? I asked finally, my voice steady. Yes, she whispered. Please, Thomas. Just tell me how. I let the silence settle, watching her, watching the desperation grow. Finally, I said, all right, Jenna. If you really want to make this right, I want you to tell everyone. I want you to tell your family, your friends, our daughter, everyone. Tell them exactly what you did, how you betrayed me. You do that, and maybe we can start thinking about what comes next. Her face paled, and she stared at me, her mouth opening and closing, unable to respond. Thomas, she stammered, that's private. We can work through this without. It's not private, I interrupted, my tone cold. You made it public the second you decided to betray me. So, if you really want to fix things, that's my condition. Full transparency. No more lies. She stared at me, her face crumbling as she realized I was serious. Thomas, please, our family. You should have thought about that before, Jenna, I said, standing up. Take the day to think about it. Either you're willing to own up to what you've done, or we're done here. I won't be part of another lie. She didn't respond, just sat there, staring at her hands, broken and silent. I left her there, heading upstairs to gather a few things. I didn't plan on sticking around to watch her try to twist her way out of it. I'd made my point, and now, it was up to her to decide if she was truly willing to face the consequences of her actions. As I was packing, my phone buzzed with a message from my lawyer, confirming that the divorce papers were in order. I stared at the screen for a moment, feeling a strange sense of finality. This was it, the beginning of the end. When I went back downstairs, Jenna was gone, her car missing from the driveway. I guessed she needed time to process everything, to decide if she was really willing to face the fallout. Good, I thought. Let her sit with it. I spent the rest of the day in a fog, waiting, wondering if she would take the one chance I'd given her. As evening fell, I heard her car pull up outside. She walked in, her face pale, her eyes downcast, and she looked at me with a strange mixture of fear and resignation. I've told my parents, she said quietly. I told them everything. They want to talk to you, to apologize. She swallowed, her voice trembling. And I'll tell Emma, too. I'll tell her when she gets back from her trip next week. Hearing my daughter's name broke something in me. Emma was our pride, our joy, the one thing I never wanted to taint with this mess. But it had to be done. Jenna had made her choices, and now, she would have to live with them. I nodded slowly. Good. That's a start. But don't think this means I'm ready to forgive you. You've broken my trust, Jenna, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to give it back. She nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. I understand. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll wait as long as you need. Her words rang hollow, a promise too late, but I didn't push her further. I turned away, heading for the door. I needed air, space to clear my head. Outside, the cool evening breeze washed over me, and I felt a weight lift, just a bit. I had taken the first steps toward reclaiming my life, and I knew there was still a long road ahead. But as I looked up at the darkening sky, I felt a glimmer of hope, the faintest spark of something I hadn't felt in a long time, freedom. And with that spark, I knew one thing for certain. I was done letting Jenna's choices define me. From here on out, I was choosing my own path, no matter where it led. The days stretched on as Jenna followed my conditions, like a penance she couldn't escape. She told our daughter Emma everything when she returned, a moment I refused to be there for. She confessed to our friends, family, and even admitted it to the few couples in town who had looked up to us as the perfect pair. Each confession was a step deeper into her shame, her broken promises, her remorse. I heard bits and pieces, the tearful reactions, the words of pity for both of us, but I didn't let any of it move me. She had made her choices, I was simply making mine now. Weeks turned into months, and Jenna continued trying to patch up the rift. She'd left her job at the university to avoid running into George and went back to school part-time, trying to find herself. I barely acknowledged her efforts. For me, this was about finality, moving forward and not looking back. But, as the days went on, something changed in her. She stopped crying, stopped begging, and a quiet resolve replaced the desperation. She became disciplined, kept a routine, and while we still shared the same house for Emma's sake, there was a palpable distance. It was strange seeing Jenna like this, silent, calm, even content, like she was accepting our fate without a fight. Then one morning, I found a letter on the kitchen table with my name written across it in her delicate handwriting. I hesitated, the kitchen quiet around me, and I could hear the faint clink of dishes as Jenna and Emma chatted lightly in the other room. I opened the letter, sensing an unfamiliar tension. Thomas. I know that I hurt you, more than I can ever repair. There's nothing I can say that could make things right. I understand now that love doesn't mean holding someone in pain, but freeing them when it's time to let go. So, I'm letting you go. I'm leaving. I've decided that I need to start over, somewhere away from here, to find out who I am beyond my mistakes. I don't know what you'll think of me for doing this, but it's the only way I can give you the peace you deserve. You don't need to forgive me, I just hope that you'll find a life beyond this pain, beyond us. I know it's late to say it, but I am so deeply sorry. Jenna. A mixture of emotions welled up inside me. Part of me wanted to laugh, another part wanted to yell. Was this her way of avoiding responsibility again, of just leaving when she didn't get what she wanted? But then I saw the signature, and a strange, lingering sorrow gripped me. She was gone. The days after her departure were quieter than I expected, like a calm after a storm. Emma took it surprisingly well, maybe she'd sensed the distance long before I did. She split her time between staying with me and visiting her mom, who had moved just an hour away to a smaller town. We spoke occasionally, brief conversations for the sake of co-parenting, but we didn't discuss us. It was as though she'd become a stranger, an echo of a life I'd left behind. One rainy evening, Emma was staying at her mom's, and I found myself alone in the house, restless. I ended up at the old diner on the edge of town, the same one where I'd first seen George and heard the truth. As I sat there, stirring a cup of coffee I didn't really want, a voice pulled me from my thoughts. Thomas. I looked up and blinked in surprise. It was Jenna, standing there in front of me, her hair pulled back, a soft, hesitant smile on her face. She looked different, lighter somehow, as if a weight had been lifted from her. I didn't know what to say, my mind scrambling to process why she was here. Mind if I join you? She asked. I nodded slowly, watching as she sat down across from me, her hands folded neatly on the table. I didn't expect to see you here, I said finally, keeping my tone even. I was on my way back to town, she replied. Emma forgot a book she needed, so I thought I'd stop by. Silence stretched between us, uncomfortable but familiar. We both sat there, unsure how to bridge the gap, or if we even wanted to. After a long pause, Jenna spoke. I just wanted to tell you, she hesitated, her voice soft. I'm okay. For the first time in a long time, I'm okay. I've been working on myself, really trying to figure out who I am beyond, well, everything. I know it doesn't change anything, but I needed to say it. I nodded, the words hanging between us, and for the first time, I saw her for who she was now, someone who had taken responsibility, even if it had come at a terrible price. I felt a strange sense of closure settle over me, a quiet acceptance that maybe we had both done our best, in our own broken ways. Thank you for saying that, I said, meaning it. I'm okay too. Finally. Anne. I'm glad you're finding your way. She gave a small, genuine smile, the kind I hadn't seen in years. We didn't say much more, just sat there in companionable silence until she got up to leave. And as I watched her go, I felt something shift inside me. Not forgiveness, exactly, but peace. When I got back home, I went into my office, taking in the familiar quiet, the stillness that had once felt empty but now felt like a canvas, a new beginning. I picked up a photo of Emma and me from our last vacation, realizing that life would go on, that happiness was something I could still find, even if it looked different now. And as the days turned into weeks, then months, I found myself moving forward, bit by bit, rebuilding the life Jenna had shattered. I knew there would be challenges, but I had a newfound strength, a resilience I hadn't known before. I was ready for whatever came next, confident that my future was mine to create. Just when I thought I'd left the past behind, I received a package in the mail. I recognized Jenna's handwriting instantly. With a small nod of curiosity, I tore open the envelope and pulled out a small, handwritten note along with a ring, the wedding band I'd given her, polished and restored. The note read, "Thomas, it took me a long time to understand what love really means, and by the time I did, it was too late. This ring should never have symbolized anything but truth. You deserved better, and I hope you find it someday." As I held the ring, I felt a surprising sense of finality, like a chapter closing for good. I placed it in a small box in the drawer, my thoughts quiet, my heart finally at rest. The betrayal had changed me, but it hadn't broken me. I knew now that I could move on, and for the first time in a long time, I felt ready to embrace whatever lay ahead.